Hey, what's up, hello, Super Simps, and welcome back to another episode of SimplyPodLogical, a simply logical podcast.
Happy holidays in November.
Yeah, happy Christmas without the H. This episode is brought to you by Holo Taco. Just released the Christmas without the H collection by Cristine without the H because we celebrate Christmas this early in the direct-to-consumer world because global supply chain issues and other companies setting the precedent.
Or because glitter is fine on my nails whenever I want it, and I want it now.
Then why is it seasonal, Christine?
Yeah, do you want to explain that? Okay, so first of all, yes, we launched our Holo Taco Christmas Collection, which will be this year's holiday collection for all intents and purposes. So if you want to get your Christmas shopping done and you were looking for Holo Taco, you can do that now because we've released it to get ahead of, as you said, like shipping and, all of that fun stuff that happens around the holiday season that makes things challenging.
Yeah, and we did want to clarify, I feel like there's a little bit of confusion about like the seasonality or whether these are like limited edition products. Like with every collection, we order a set number of boxes, which we don't anticipate or don't plan to bring back. So to that extent, boxes are limited to that run of that collection, right?
Yeah, people know that though.
Yeah, for the most part, those polishes in these boxes you tend to keep around in a catalog. As the catalog has gotten bigger, we are starting to have to make decisions about what things are available year-round or not. On the glitters specifically, we notice people don't buy the glitters all that much in the summer months anyway. So I think there was a bit of a decision made that, we were going to make a bunch of these glitters now with the intention of forecasting or anticipating how much we would need so that they stay in stock for the winter months. But beyond that, we would have to actively make a decision to make another run of them to bring them back for them to not be seasonal.
And if we made that decision, it would be dependent on the availability of those pigments and ingredients at that time, potentially early next year.
Yeah, so
later next year. Yeah.
If people express and there's a clear preference for one or all of them to be around again in the future, it seems to me that we would be able to do that. We would hope or have the intention of, but we have to at least, not promise that we could absolutely do that because in some of these glitter polishes with very specific ingredients and the many different types of glitters in them, there's always a possibility that like one little piece of the puzzle isn't actually available if we went to make these again months from now. So I appreciate some people were a little like confused or frustrated with like, are these limited edition or not? Like you can buy those individual glitter polishes now and you should be able to for the next while.
For this season, but I don't have an end date because it depends when they sell out. And I kind of went through this at length in my last live stream on Sunday. So if you missed that, you can watch that. There should be a timestamp in the description box specifically about that. So you can find just that section if that's what you're looking for. But yeah, in a nutshell, it's all much more complicated. And for me, it's really not about the marketing. I really care about like, what can we actually provide, and I don't want to make false promises. And I also don't want to say like limited edition, therefore making you buy and then bring it back if I want next year, because that's not the spirit of what limited edition means.
Yes, we're doing the best we can, but you can check those out at www.holotaco.com.
As of recording this podcast, as of recording this, the collection box, which includes the 6 new Christmas glitters, all holo, fun shades for, traditional Christmas shades, but like shades we've been missing as Holo Taco, like rich ruby red, emerald green, sparkling gold, black holo wish. And then we have like surprise shades, the Holo Choco, or wait, it's Choco Holo. I always confuse myself and I named it. And Plum Luck, which was like a surprise winner. People really like the plum.
Yeah. And I think the brown is...
The brown is just like a surprise. Like no one saw that one coming.
That's right.
But
anyway,
I love it.
Check it out. Available right now. www.holotaco.com. Yeah. Okay. Today, Christine, we're doing.
What are we doing?
We're looking at unpopular internet opinions. We've done this once before. Pulled it from Reddit. We did that again, where we look at People have volunteered opinions they have about things that they think are unpopular, that they think they have an opinion on something that many other people don't have. And then the internet sort of gets to decide, like, is that actually an unpopular opinion? Or is it an opinion a lot of people have, but like people are maybe afraid to
They
say?
just don't say it.
Something like that. So yeah, we just want to, talk about something other than ourselves and our businesses and things like that, and just focus on something else. That's what
Let's
we're
talk
doing
about other
today.
people's problems, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
So
let's
we
do
can feel
that.
better.
All right, first one. I enjoy sucking on the tea bag after I finish drinking my tea. So
What?
when I finish my tea, I'll leave about an inch or two of my tea water in the cup. First, I will suck on the water content from the tea bag dry, and then dip it back into the cup and repeat. If the bag rips open for some reason, I won't eat the leaves, of course, but I might chew on it for a little bit. The leftover tea bag offers a strong, earthy flavor that stays on my tongue for a while. Earl Grey tea bags are especially tasty. Christine, what do you think? Is this an unpopular opinion?
Okay, well, I...
Have you ever eaten a tea bag, Christine?
Not the bag, just the tea.
You shouldn't do that either.
I have eaten the tea, but like that's
Would
because...
not advise or recommend.
Yeah, okay, don't eat tea, don't eat nail polish, don't do a lot of things that I do. No, I'm just kidding. But this doesn't make sense to me why you would eat the tea bag, because the bags are often... Well, not always. Most of the time, like, new tea bags are biodegradable, so you could argue that you could, like, digest them potentially, but I'd have to ask a doctor on that.
Some of them have microplastics.
But some of them have
and things.
microplastics, and some of them are not designed to be ingested. They're just designed to be a strainer, which is not the same thing.
But sorry, I guess this person, to be fair to this person, they're not saying they're eating the tea
they're
bag.
sucking
I
on it.
misspoke there.
So do they, like, suck on other things? Do they, like, have a sucker, like a soother?
Where are you going with that?
Well, it's just like, if that brings you comfort, maybe, it's just a thing you still like to do, and I don't know how old they are, but I imagine they're not 3.
I understand that super steeped tea water that would,
Well,
accumulate
just
at
steep
the
it
bottom.
longer and leave the bag in.
Yeah, but maybe it's kind of like having a popsicle or something, like a more intense tea flavor treat. Are you intrigued?
I'm not. I'm now. I'm intrigued. The stronger the tea, the better. I'm not mad at this person.
No.
I'll put it that way. I'm not mad.
They're not a monster.
No, like, it's kind of like weird. Like, why don't you just steep it forever? That's what I do with iced tea. I just like steep it for like literally a day, which like you're not supposed to do. But I don't care. I want all the flavor. But it never occurred to me you could just suck on the tea bag.
Well, because you
I bathed in tea.
Yeah, so you can't judge anyone on tea practices. You take the tea bag out pretty quickly, though.
Well, I follow the instructions.
Oh, look at you.
So the instructions
Christine's
that
not
I
a rule
follow
breaker.
from David's Tea, which, by the way, I have my own page on David's Tea.
Yes, yeah.
It's called Simply's Picks.
The link is down below.
The link is down below. There's a different page for US and Canada. It's where I've curated exactly the tea flavors that I drink, including like the mugs I use, the tumblers.
Yes.
This isn't product placement. I literally have these here every time we film a podcast.
It's true.
It's true. So now I finally have my own page to be like, you can shop
So on
there.
those teas, it will
Yeah.
say like boil your water to this temperature,
It'll
steep
give you a
the tea
temperature.
for this
It'll
long.
say for how long, and I generally respect it. Although sometimes, if it's like a fruity tea and I'm making iced tea, I do it for longer. But if it's a green tea, you don't want to let it steep too long because then it gets bitter. So there's all these considerations, but it all comes down to personal preference. So I believe that you can drink the tea however you want. And if this person wants to suck on their tea bag, that's fine. But it may come with consequence of potentially being judged by others. So, like, I don't know. If you're cool with that, that's fine.
Just do it
Not
in
by me. I don't judge them. But, like, people that in their household.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
You don't have strong opinions about tea as I do.
No, yeah, I just like that one. Next one. Car makers should stop replacing buttons with massive touchscreens. Yeah, sure, it's futuristic and all, but a lot of them are just becoming a hassle and a hazard. I shouldn't have to spam tap a screen to change the climate controls. A dial would be much simpler and easier to use. The screens are basically impossible to use with gloves. If you live in a colder climate, frankly, most automakers just suck at making them. They are super laggy, hard to use. Cars can still look modern with a clean button dial interior setup. Maybe a smaller screen to display information. The infotainment system should not have to constantly take the driver's attention off the road. Well, that's kind of that's a different point at the end there about how distracting it is to have, all these flashing lights and screens.
Right, but like where something is on a screen is also dependent on how well that user has learned that system. Just like if you hand an iPhone to your grandma, they're like, what the fuck am I looking at? But like maybe there are some cars where people just get used to it and they're younger and more adaptable to that kind of technology, so it becomes intuitive. So that argument only really matters if you're presenting it to a customer who's just not going to get it.
Yeah, and maybe I am a dinosaur, but I think I agree with this person. I have a car where there is a touch screen, and I think I would prefer the sort of tactile feel of rather than, because like you're driving, you don't want to have to touch a touch screen, right? So if I knew I could feel for the feeling of a knob.
Your car has both.
Well, almost every car has both.
I think when they say this, they're thinking of like Tesla, where it's literally just a giant screen, right? There's like no buttons.
Yeah.
That's what they mean, yeah.
I
do not have a Tesla, so we don't know what it's actually like.
It's true. Once we're driving cars that just drive themselves, I guess there's really not much need for these buttons, because then you can just treat your dash like an iPad.
An iPhone.
Yeah.
Play Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, but in principle,
yeah.
as we drive cars today, I do like things being buttons as opposed. And I think a lot of car manufacturers know to have sort of a balance there.
Despite my comment about the end here, about the consumer, personally, I do agree. I prefer more buttons, and I think there's a way to modernize them and make them sleeker and more minimalist or dual purpose. Like you could like control shift almost kind of logic. But it even still, that requires learning and just like memorizing where things are. Because even if whether it's a touchscreen or a button, you still have to look and figure out where it is, and then you get used to it. Mm-hmm. So unless it's a confusing touchscreen where you need to like go into an app that goes into an app and into an app, then I understand why it's like hard to memorize.
I'm not sure I think this way because of cars specifically, but if I can buy a product that has buttons instead of just a touch screen in some scenario, like I have an espresso machine because because
you fancy coffee man.
Yeah.
Traitor to the tea club. Traitor.
Oh, yeah. So I don't tell anyone I'm a coffee guy, not a tea guy. But I could have bought the espresso machine I have with a touch screen.
Right.
But I bought the version that just has like 1 shot, 2 shot, menu
like a
button.
Yeah.
I love how you say button, by the way. Could you just say button again?
You're so weird.
It's adorable.
Button. Okay, shut up.
So to the extent that a touch screen can stop working and that prevents you from doing anything on that machine if the whole thing is controlled by a touch screen.
Okay, but what happened to BlackBerry? BlackBerry was all tactile, QWERTY keyboard, and then we all said, fuck it, I'm getting an iPhone, complete touchscreen. What happened?
I don't know.
See?
Well, Apple just had such better software. I don't know if it was the buttons or the lack of buttons that was what people liked, right? So
that's why I held on to my BlackBerry.
There's an alternate timeline where BlackBerry is the phone everyone uses.
Yeah,
if it just had
an alternate universe where BlackBerry reigns and like all touch screens are garbage.
Yeah, that is a good example. But like even with iPhones, when they completely got rid of any, I still am not used to not having a home button on an iPhone, and I don't know if that was a good change to make the entire screen all touch screen.
I missed the home button because it was a fingerprint scanner.
Yeah, and there was something comforting about having at least there's this one button if all the touch stuff doesn't work.
Right. I can just turn it off this way.
I mean, you can, yes.
All
right. So I don't think this is an unpopular opinion at all.
It depends on your age to decide whether or not this is an unpopular opinion.
Yeah, kids these days are like, buttons? What are those?
What is a button?
Button. All right, next one. Instead of writing sequels or prequels to books, I feel like more authors should write equals to their books where the same story, same events happen, but it's told from the perspective of a different character.
They do that within books, though. There are books that have chapters that are called each character's name, and then you just see the same story from each viewpoint. They just don't make multiple books. It's just within the same book because it's all the same story.
So like 2 seconds after reading this seemed very clever, but you're totally right. A lot of stories and shows already do
Stop
this.
trying to maximize your profit with multiple book releases. Just put it in one book and have a different chapter for each character because it is the same story.
There might be some stories that are told very much from the perspective of a singular character that I'm sure the fans of that book would be very curious to see.
Yeah, I'm
I
joking.
want to read Harry Potter from Snape's perspective the whole way or something like that, right? So like there is something interesting about this. The thing that kind of bothers me about it though, and if I can just say what grinds my gears a little bit, Cristine, is that I feel like it's a lot of people say this. There's not a lot of originality in terms of the kind of movies and books we see released now. It's just like a lot of sequels, a lot of like really derivative stuff. It's not often you see like entirely original stuff coming out. And I feel like what that is doing is kind of taking the mystery out of some classic movies to some degree. Like let's take Star Wars as an example.
My favorite movie.
I know you don't give a shit about Star Wars. But, you know, there was, when those first 3 movies came out, a lot of people loved them. A lot of things just like weren't explained, right? And there's like there's some comedian who has a bit about this, like Patton Oswalt, where it's like when they started making the prequels and the sequels and spin-offs and everything, they have like filled in a bunch of gaps that like take all the sort of mystery of the broader world away. So it's like, I don't need to know who Han Solo's dad was, or I don't need to know like if they made some vague reference in the original movie to something he did. I don't need to see all of that, because something that makes a movie good is knowing there is a believable universe that exists outside of the scope of what is described in that movie or book. And I feel like when we have all these spin-offs and sequels and prequels now, a lot of it sort of just robs you of the knowledge of what could exist outside of that singular piece of art.
It erodes your imagination.
Yeah.
It limits your
And I'm sure we could have
imagination,
some debate about like what exists outside the text and yada, yada, yada. But like I have found it often does a disservice to the experience of the original work of art to have additional works of art that fill in all those gaps.
But their opinion was, in lieu of writing sequels or prequels, why not just do equals? They weren't saying do equals.
This is true.
So I guess like maybe they have a point, you know, like
Maybe,
we don't need to see another sequel of The Matrix 2 and 3 or whatever.
But at least that
future.
implies like there's an original story that goes beyond or before, whereas this would just take away.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm
and
talking
a lot
out
of
my butt.
books and movies, like, although that sounds interesting, it really depends on the plot, whether it would be interesting to see it from a different perspective, from a different character. Because there's a lot of books or movies where it's like the same story. Doesn't matter.
All right. I'm going to push the button and go to the next one.
Stop it.
Y'all, Y''ALL is a brilliant use of the English language, and I refuse to be told otherwise.
So am I brilliant? See y'all later, bye.
Let's talk about that next.
Oh my God.
So this person is British from a small town in the middle
you
of
have to read
England.
it in a British accent.
Nobody ever... I can't do it. Do you want to read
Try
this
it,
one?
try it. This is hilarious. Go.
I
go,
can't
do
do
it. Ben, you have to do it.
Nobody... I can't do it.
Nobody
can't...
ever says y'all here, and I do not get why. Why can't you speak in
I
British?
can't do it.
Ben.
When I first heard the word... I can't do so...
Why are you like yelling? You're like high pitched, like you know you're talking like a British sitcom.
What does the Queen sound like? When I first
Hello.
heard the word, I thought it was stupid. But the older I get and the more I realize how much I would easily use y'all in everyday life. I'm a manager in my office, so I often have to refer to multiple people at a time. You all, you lot, all of you is fine for now, but I can come off as quite harsh. I've now rotated. Rotated is not.
Why are you like failing to breathe?
I've now
rotated.
I've now started saying y'all, and it just fits so well. It's soft. It comes out friendly. Everyone knows what I mean. It rolls off the tongue nicely, and I get to put that sweet Southern accent on when I say it.
It's exactly how I feel.
I think
It's just so warm and calm and cozy. See y'all later, bye. I've been saying that forever.
it is pretty endearing, isn't it?
Well, it's
Yeah.
easier
Or
because,
friendly.
especially when you're a content creator, maybe this is a bias I have, but you are talking to many people at once.
Yeah.
So you all
ideally, yeah.
is often what I need to say. It's not like you, like singular.
Uh-huh. But
Or
what would your outro line be if it wasn't
if it was
y'all?
English and not Southern.
What is
If it was British, thank you so much for attending this conference. I will see you at the next one. Cheerio.
conference?
I don't know.
Thank you for watching. Yeah, what is the more like literal?
Thank you so much for watching, and I will see
You all later. Bye.
Or I could have said like I will see you
Regards.
next time, but you is like singular and kind of weird because like I'm referring to.
It just makes it sound like increasingly formal, right?
Yeah.
Kind regards and salutations for having watched my production video.
We'll see you on the subsequent video.
Yes.
Ensure subscription.
Best regards, kind regards.
I'm dying. So yeah, I use y'all.
I'm all for y'all. I'm good with it.
And is it true that it is derived from a sweet Southern accent? Like I don't even know.
Where does y'all come from?
You all.
Y'all? I think it's.
Well, isn't it okay? It's a contraction, like from an English language perspective.
Sure.
It is the squishing of you and all, just like don't is the squishing of do and not.
I feel like y'all is like has become at least like entirely normal usage in informal American language. If we're like, its etymology might be in African American vernacular or whatever, AAV, whatever that is. So I feel like maybe some people are actually kind of sensitive to the use of words like this, but I feel like y'all is very much just common vernacular at this point.
In America, especially.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think of it as Southern rather as it being belonging to a particular cultural group.
I always thought of it as Southern, but also like a contraction, like when you group two words to give it an apostrophe.
Well, yeah, sure, but like not everyone. I guess this person's saying like formal British speaking. They're not going around saying y'all, right? Even though they have contractions in other ways.
So yeah, who is giving this poster resistance to adapting to it? Like I wonder what the comments were. Everyone was like, "Did you look?"
No,
was
I
there
didn't.
resistance?
But a lot of people seem to like it, which makes me think it's not necessarily an unpopular opinion. I think a lot of people agree that there's a lot of utility in y'all because it is.
Yeah.
There isn't a lot of short ways of referring to like a you all.
Use. I've heard,
Use.
but that's kind of weird too.
I've heard use before. That's not. I was in a small town visiting family like years ago, and won't be too. I heard this guy walk up to the counter and he's like trying to write a note for someone, and he goes, "How do you spell use?" And the person working behind the cash is like USE, like use, and he's like, "No, use guys."
Oh.
And I'm just like, I've never thought of that. How do you spell
You
use?
guys.
Like YOU apostrophe S? Like
I don't think that's.
I've never seen that
technically
written because I think that's only
even
the way
as a
people.
contraction, right?
I don't. But English is an evolving.
But yeah, I don't know.
Too,
I'm not.
right?
English literature majors are just gonna school us right now in the comments because we're like, maybe that's not a real contraction. I don't know, but like that's what it looks like to me.
It's just interesting when people use English words that you and I both understand
Yeah.
in ways that like you just never think of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I like y'all. Next unpopular opinion. Fuck being a girl boss. My goal in life is to be a housewife. The title says it all. I'm in my early 20s and I'm ready to get married and have kids. I don't want to work. I want to find a man to provide for me. It's so hard being around all my friends who are talking about starting their own businesses and getting money and providing for themselves, and I have to pretend like I agree. I'm still living at home with my parents because I don't like to work a 9 to 5. I'm actively trying to find a wealthy enough man who wants to marry me and have kids with me. I was close to my dream, but he didn't want to have kids with me for another 5 years, so I dumped him. I just want to be a stay-at-home housewife so badly, and I'm tired of pretending like I don't.
Oh.
Does this hurt you to read? You know, this wouldn't have been as unpopular a thing for people to think at some point.
This was fine. I was listening to you. I'm like, everyone has a different wish for what they want their future to look like. It's fine. You want to get married? That's fine. You want to have kids? That's fine. You want this feeling of someone else providing for you? Okay. You don't want to run your own business? Totally fine. Totally fine. But then they said, they don't want to work, like, at all. And they are actively trying to find a wealthy enough man who wants to marry me and have kids with me. Rather than finding someone you love and then you can do these dreams
Sure.
of having a family and being a housewife with. This is just like kind of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but like you are trying to design this in the wrong direction. And it's pretty like slimy if you're the guy and you're not aware. I'm assuming, yes. She's saying she wants a husband. So, or is this a girl? I don't know. Fuck being a girl boss. Yes, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
But like, so you're not in a relationship. You haven't found someone. You're literally just looking for a man to essentially use so you can have his children and take his money and never work. And you don't know yet if you're going to find someone you love. Like, this is kind of backwards to me.
Yeah, maybe it's implied. And, I guess there's a way of idealizing that lifestyle and finding someone who is...
Yeah, but you can't force that shit.
No, I'm not saying you can, but I'm sure you could still... There are still plenty of people where this is sort of like a very traditional, normal dynamic that still happens.
Like, this poster needs to get relationship advice, too. Like, please don't go out into the world, like, soliciting rich men just so you can get their money and never work and have their kids. Like, what the fuck?
The criticism of what is written here is she's basically like, I'm just trying to find a man to support me. And that doesn't...
That doesn't sit well with me. Apologies. Everything else you said in your wishes for your life and you want to be married and have kids, that's totally fine. But this idea that, like, I can't wait to find a man I can just, like, use his money. What the fuck?
Yes. Okay. I agree with you. I don't think I have much to comment on this one. All right. Next one. People who are speeding on the highway are breaking the law. The idea that you're obligated to get out of the way is like holding the door open for someone who is shoplifting. Let's all drive safely at the speed limit.
Oh.
So yeah, when you see someone driving slowly in the fast lane, but they're going the speed limit,
that's too slow.
That's too slow.
Fast lane.
And everyone's getting mad. This is the person driving the speed limit.
This is Barbara.
In any lane they want.
Barbara in her Prius.
Prius?
I don't know.
Why Barbara?
I don't know. I just made it up.
It is sort of funny that we've all sort of just agreed that, I guess to use the Canadian system, like most highways are 100 kilometers an hour. I guess that's close to your 65 miles per hour in the States. But yeah, it just sort of seems like everyone has this collective understanding that no, the speed limit's actually like 10 to 15 to 20 over that potentially.
Yeah, but that is also dictated by speeding ticket thresholds. So they only ticket you at like 15 over. I can't remember exactly what it is. It depends on what the limit is. It's relative.
Yeah.
But so that's why it's dictated by that. So there is a reason. It's not just a collective understanding.
So you're saying people are making like an economic decision that I'm willing to get the benefit of driving 20 kilometers over the speed limit.
Because they know no one's going to pull them over at that because they won't be able to issue a ticket with like meaningful demerit points or at a, a ticket
they would be
worth
willing
300.
to pay that fine potentially
So
in the odd chance
that directly influences people's decisions to speed a little bit.
You're right. It is a very good example of a crime that is a crime. Is very much like people do that calculation that like kind of purely economic, I guess.
Yeah.
Although there are some countries that very interestingly...
The Autobahn.
Where there's no speed limit?
Where there's no speed limit? Yeah.
No, I was going to say there are countries that have tried... the fine you pay for a speed limit is proportional to your income or your worth.
Interesting.
So
your net worth? Oh my God, Elon, don't get pulled over.
It's probably income
or
more
do
than
get
worth
pulled
because
over.
I don't know how they actually do this. And I feel like it's some like Scandinavian country. I think there's a famous hockey player who got pulled over like speeding very badly. And that guy makes like $8 million a year or something.
What was the fine?
So I think he ended up with like some like $50,000 speeding ticket, right? Because it's proportional to your salary.
Well, it's kind of like a tax. It's like a tax penalty.
Well, it makes it so like the deterrent is meaningful no matter what tax bracket you're in. It's actually a pretty interesting idea. Although when you just say like, I was driving 20 kilometers over the speed limit and I got like a $50,000 speeding ticket. Yeah. That just in isolation
sounds like an unjust punishment.
Sure. But if the argument it's just as what a $300 speeding ticket would mean for someone who is only making like $30,000 a year, right?
Interesting.
It's an interesting idea.
Very interesting.
Anyways, I think we've all sort of made a choice that we're willing to drive. Have you ever? Yeah, I think this is an unpopular opinion because most people
Were you
want
going
to
to
be.
ask me if I've ever committed a crime?
Yes.
I will not.
Have you ever gotten a speeding ticket? Is what I was going to ask.
Yes, I did. Okay, you want to know the story?
Spill the
Story
tea.
time.
I'm pushing your
My
buttons.
first and only speeding ticket ever in my... I can't do math. How
Your
many
life?
years have I been driving since I was 16?
Oh.
I'm 33.
So
math.
17 years?
17 years of driving.
Okay.
Like, I'm too tired to do math. My first and only speeding ticket was in my first year of driving.
Oh.
It was in grade 12.
So you only had your G1.
No, I had my G2 because I was driving alone. So I got
see.
my
Okay.
G2, or
Yes.
in Ontario, it just means you're allowed to drive alone, but you have to do another test to get your full license
Yes.
where you have no restrictions. But I got my G2 and I used to drive myself to school, like high school, the last year of high school, driving my grandmother's 1995 Subaru Legacy, which she had handed down to me at that time.
You're painting a picture.
Yeah. And I drove past a different school and they were pulling everyone over, like on that road. So I was going, I think the ticket had said like 50 and a 40.
Yeah. That's it?
Yeah, that's it. But they were doing one of those like stings where they just stand there with one of those like laser
just
guns
over
and
the
they
other
just
side of
literally
the
pull
hill.
everyone. And I was pulled over and then they pulled me over into this giant parking lot that has a huge circle of cars lined up
pulling
waiting to get a
everyone
ticket
over.
because it was a school zone and they were like deciding, okay, we got to do this just to
sort
like
of blitz.
reinforce, make a point. And yeah, that was my first and only speeding ticket and I was like devastated. And like it wasn't like
It's
that.
okay. Did you get any demerit points or anything?
No.
Like? No. It's
It wasn't,
barely
like-
anything, right?
Yeah, so in Canada, if you speed enough, like there's different thresholds, you can get demerit points, which can mean negative consequences on your insurance payments. But
Yes.
the points, there were no points on this one because it was so low, and it was also my first speeding ticket.
Yeah. Good point. That's funny. I've also only ever gotten one speeding ticket in my whole life.
Where were you going?
So it's funny. It wasn't in Canada. The only time I've been pulled over and gotten a ticket was I was in upstate New York. I was driving from Ottawa to Flemington, New Jersey. The year is 2010, 11. I can't remember. I'm driving to a Donkey Kong tournament. And I got pulled over doing, I think it was 80 miles per hour in a 65.
So what happened? 'Cause
So I got a ticket in
Look
New
at your
York
license
State.
and you're Canadian.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly how that worked, but I remember feeling like, do I have to pay this? Like, if I
Or can I
drive
go to Canada?
back to New York, maybe there would be a risk they would try to come after me. But you know what? I actually got a letter from Ontario, where I have my driver's license, where the state of New York had communicated the infraction to Ontario. And I actually did get like the lowest, I think, number of demerit points you can get
How much did you have to pay?
for the ticket.
Yeah.
I think the ticket was like between like over $300. I want to
Canadian
say,
or US?
which is a little weird because like,
Who did you remit
America,
payment to? Did you remit it to Ontario if
no,
they
I
passed
think
over
to
the
New
charge?
York State.
Wow, you're a taxpayer in New York.
I don't think that's how that
I
works.
know.
Yeah, all of a sudden I have tax status in America
No.
because no, but yeah, it wasn't cheap. And what is 80, like 81, 82 when the speed limit's 65? What does that translate to? That is kind of fast actually. Because that's more than like kilometers over, right? It's not like I was going like 20 kilometers over. That translates more to like
You're a criminal.
like 30.
basically.
I just really needed to get to that Donkey Kong
Barbara's
tournament.
upset.
Anyways,
Okay, that's enough crime confessions.
moving on. Yeah. Next one. There should be no age limit for trick-or-treating.
What?
This was posted like
Halloween.
70 days. It's probably posted on Halloween.
They were mad.
I'm not sure when as a society or why we made up this silly rule that once you're a teenager, you're too old to trick-or-treat. I believe that setting age limits for such silly and innocent things is what promotes teenagers to engage in other activities, such as Devil's Night. The hell is
It's a
Devil's
devil's night.
I think just being mischievous teenagers on Halloween.
What is devil's night?
I would rather positively reinforce a teenager prolonging their childhood and enjoying the simplicities of life than shaming them and refusing to hand out candy to them that I will be handing out to a bunch of smaller children who, by the way, will not eat all the candy and their parents will likely get a good chunk of, at least that's how it went in my household.
So your parents stole your candy. Okay, we understand the trauma.
You
we
mad,
get
bro?
it now.
This applies to adults too. If there wasn't so much stigma around it, you bet I'd be out there this weekend trick-or-treating. I think if I had a teenager show up at my door, I'd be excited. We always counted how many people showed up for trick-or-treating, so having everyone out participating would boost those numbers. But dude, there's like a flaw in your logic here. If everyone is out trick-or-treating,
There's no one home to give out the
who is handing
candy?
out the candy? The adults do that.
They think candy grows on trees. It's handed out by the trees.
I guess what this person's not a... Trick-or-treating is fun for kids because they can't walk
Things
into
to
a
do.
store and buy candy.
Yeah.
Yet.
And they don't have problems in life that they have to deal with yet. So, like, this is the only time that they'll be able to just, like, get free shit because that's not how the real world works. And when you're an adult, you know that.
When you're a kid, you get free shit all the time from
true.
your parents, I guess, right?
It's a good life.
So actually, it would be sort of nice if they reversed. I think trick-or-treating should be the kids stay home, handing out candy to their parents. Wouldn't that be funny?
They would totally fuck with them. Like, they'd be like, here's an egg. And the kids would prank all the adults on the street. They'd have house
They'll
parties.
do what they're told.
They'd lock their parents out, take their Tesla for a spin. Then we'd have some other problems, you know. I'm not sure about the safety of this one.
This person seems really upset that people just celebrate Halloween differently at different ages. I feel like that's what's sort of missing here.
This person is just upset that they can't go trick-or-treating without being judged. But why don't... Here's an idea.
Go to the store and buy some candy?
Yeah. Or find some kids.
Where are you going with this?
Whatever. You can find a man to have his kids, take his money, whatever, from the last question. But however you decide to acquire such children, you can just pretend they're your kids, and then you can go trick-or-treating with them. Oh. Use them as a foil.
Find some children to
Find
get
some
candy
kids.
for you.
Yeah.
And in exchange, you give them,
You can make a deal.
drugs or alcohol. Or
No, Ben. No, Ben. Broker a deal with the children. Teach them something about deal making and business. You can be like, hey, you go to the next 6 houses. I'm going to direct you the best houses because they have some like insider information or they know where Patty lives.
No
Patty,
insider trading.
well, maybe the adults know because they're smarter than the kids. So maybe
Okay.
they recall.
Maybe.
And then the adult brokers a deal that like I get to keep like half the candy you guys get. You got to show me at the
For
end of the day.
what? What's the exchange here?
Well, the adult has insider information allegedly. Maybe they help drive them to the better houses.
Sounds like the adults just exploiting the labor of these tiny children with their
Well, they
tiny
really-
hands grabbing tiny
They
chocolate
really want to
bars.
participate in Halloween. I'm trying to find a way that they can without being judged.
It is true that if an adult showed up at a door trick-or-treating, most people would
Yeah.
be pretty suspicious,
If
probably
they were
more than
alone
anything.
and didn't have kids with them. Yes.
Yeah, right? That would be pretty bizarre. And you know what? I don't think teenagers want to go trick-or-treating.
They're too cool.
They want to...
Get drunk with their friends. They don't care about candy.
Or party responsibly.
Yes, that's what I meant.
All right, next one. Any snack that leaves your hands dirty is a bottom tier snack.
Uh-oh, tacos.
There's not much else to say. I'm looking at Doritos, Cheetos, Takis, sour cream and onion Pringles, even Lay's with all the grease. If I can't send a text or shake your hand in between bites, I don't want it. And then they added a note here saying, I'd like to throw in that jumbo hard pretzels are my absolute favorite snack. Christine, pretzels, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Pretzels are like whatever, you know.
They make you thirsty, right?
I
Like,
wouldn't
these
care.
pretzels are making me thirsty.
I wouldn't, yes. I wouldn't care if they cease to exist. But
You wouldn't miss pretzels.
Also wouldn't care. But I kind of, I agree, but not that strongly. I don't strongly agree, you know, I slightly agree.
It does.
What is this a scale?
Bottom tier, no, because it's not the primary factor of how good a snack is. But I think my perspective is the quality, my enjoyment of it needs to account or make up for the fact that it is messy for me to want to eat it.
So you're doing a calculation in your mind before you decide to eat a snack?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, like Cheetos making your hands disgusting
Yeah.
is a con. I
It's a
agree.
consequence.
I can't reply to you texting me for tea.
Okay, fuck it then.
It's a
Get rid of
problem,
the
right?
Doritos.
So I really have to like Cheetos to make it worth that sacrifice of my hands getting covered in cheese dust. And for me, Cheetos isn't worth it. So it does bring it down on my ranking of snacks.
I don't like Cheetos or anything. You're right. I don't really like.
What
dirty
snacks do you
foods.
eat? You eat kale.
Smoothies? Kale. I love kale.
Kale chips? Do you like kale,
Kale chips, yes.
Do those leave your hands
But
all...
I kind of put it in a bowl and eat it with a fork.
No, you don't.
I put everything in a bowl and eat it with a fork, or
You're
I blend
disgusting.
everything in a smoothie and drink it with a straw, or just like drink it from the cup.
Smoothies aren't snacks.
I'm basically a child.
Smoothies are like a meal.
Let's go trick or treating.
Do you have a favorite snack?
Protein powder.
Oh my God. Look what I'm dealing with here. Unbelievable. Doritos? Cool Ranch? Cool Ranch Doritos?
Cool Ranch is better.
Cool Ranch. S tier Dorito.
Especially if you like crack them up and sprinkle it on a salad and then eat it in a bowl.
Salad, not salad. You open you crush them in the bag
And then sprinkle it on
and
salad.
then you sprinkle it on a pizza.
Pizza. Yeah. But then it's like sharp and hurts your gums. When
This
you're not
is what I used to
expecting it.
eat when I was like super overweight and unhealthy. Doritos on
So why are you
pizza.
encouraging this? Kale, we want kale.
Okay, yeah. Christina's made me a healthier person.
Okay.
All right, moving on. If I catch a baseball at a major league game and you send your kid over, you're the asshole, not me.
Wait. Just because I don't understand anything about baseball. You send your kid over? Like, why do people send their kids over?
Okay, I'll have to explain
going on?
sporting events to Christine. So, baseball is probably the best example where a guy with a stick is hitting a ball.
Shut up.
Have you
I
seen
understand
this?
that.
Okay. Sometimes that ball goes into the stands where people are sitting.
Yeah, and then they go psycho. And
It's
want-
an
they want
exciting
it.
thing
Yeah,
to
they're like
catch a
animals.
ball and get a
Right.
game ball, right?
Yes.
Because that's,
Right.
could be valuable depending who hit it,
Sure.
But I think a lot of people have this expectation that if there's a child around, their enjoyment of that moment, the significance of them remembering when I was 8 years old, I was at a game and caught a ball.
But they didn't catch the ball.
Yeah, but sometimes it like falls in the area of people and it's like, who's gonna try to grab it? Maybe.
So whoever grabs it should keep it.
That is the very sort of
Logical.
objectively fair meritocracy, I guess. But I think the idea is some people think it's nice if the adults just let the child have it because it
If
would
it's your kid,
be more
sure.
significant to
Yeah,
them.
if it's your kid and like
But
you
no,
caught
you can
it.
care about the feelings of some stranger's child.
But what about like you give it to your own kid if you
Well,
caught
what
it?
if you don't have your own kid?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you will. Maybe you just really like fucking
Save
baseball.
it for later. No, if you don't have a kid there with you,
Okay.
could you imagine that maybe you just want to let that 8-year-old little boy?
If the boy caught it,
You really don't like the idea of giving up that ball, eh?
this is just like, why would you give it to? Like, I don't understand.
So you agree with this person? He's like, "Fuck your kid.
Fuck.
I'm keeping this ball."
I mean, I'd want to see a replay to understand like the situation, to
Okay.
actually know who caught it with fairness. If there was a struggle and like the kid, it's kind of unclear, then maybe give it to the kid. Because you would really upset them if they thought they got it. But if they unquestionably did not touch it, get it, or were like able in the vicinity to get it, then no, fuck that kid.
So
Why?
I think that's the right take, actually. But I would just say it's strange when you see clips of adults like reaching over children in a way where like it's going to them, but like I'm 5 times bigger than this tiny person and I'm just going to take it away from them.
So the adult already has an unfair advantage. So I think if they like impose themselves over the kid and steal it from the kid, then yeah, I'm inclined to agree that's not fair. But if it like literally goes directly to you, you
Yeah.
caught it, no interference.
Yes.
No, you don't give it to the kid.
I agree. And this person seems to be frustrated that like a parent will send their kid over. Maybe
Yeah,
not even like
fuck
immediately
that.
in that area to get
That
it.
is the parent being conniving. Like,
Yeah,
no.
sure.
Stop using your child to try and gain something from someone else. That's fucked up.
I was at a Harlem Globetrotters game as
I
a
have
child.
no idea what that means.
It's a
What's a
it's
Globetrotter?
fake basketball team.
Are they on world tour? Like,
Well, they tour around because like they're like Dude Perfect before that was a thing.
do they sing?
Dude Perfect is like trick shots, basketball
okay.
or
I don't know who I'm thinking of.
They throw a ball through a hoop and go, oh, like they just did something, like they just cured cancer or something, right?
Okay.
They're crazy. But Harlem Globetrotters were like a fake basketball team, and they'd have like scripted matches against a a basketball team that was like there to lose. But they would do tricks and like spin the ball and like do trick
WWE.
shots. Yeah, yeah. That's actually really good. Okay.
I'm learning things, you see?
You're learning a lot today. But yeah, I remember at an intermission, someone came out and was like shooting shirts out of a cannon. And I'm there with my dad, and the cannon, like the shirt's kind of coming at us, but like there's these other like young people beside us, and it's kind of heading towards them, and my dad just reaches out and grabs the shirt and gives it to me. But he had a kid there. I was a kid, yeah.
Were they kids?
But I distinctly remember like him just being like, yoink. And I received a shirt shot out of a cannon one time.
I don't know. Fuck that kid, Ben. Can't be biased, you know?
There's a really, I don't know, I like this topic a lot apparently, but like there's a famous clip of a hockey game where like sometimes a player will intentionally want to give something to a fan in the stands, right? Like I'm a hockey player.
See someone with a particular sign.
Yeah, maybe they're wearing your jersey, or they're a fan of your team even though you're in another city. You might want to give your hockey stick to that child. The grossest thing one of the worst things you see at sporting events is I've seen like a player like reach their stick over to hand it to a child they're trying to give it to, and some adult comes over and just grabs the stick from the kid. And there's a really famous clip of this happening, I think in LA, I want to say, where it resulted in like the adults just beating the shit out of each other in the stands because this person came over and took it from the kid. Yeah. So that is different from this scenario. If someone is trying to intentionally give a ball or something to
that's different.
Yeah,
then the person who's it's directed to should have it. Don't steal it.
Yes. All right. I'm glad we
finally sports is interesting.
Another one, even if schools taught you how to do your taxes or other life skills, not many of you would pay attention. Let's be honest, most of you barely pay attention in geometry. How many of you would honestly say you'll pay attention while they teach you how to do your taxes?
Ben.
Or explain to you how to cook or sew?
Not me.
This is an interesting point, right? Because you hear this complaint a lot. School isn't practical enough. You know, why don't I? And we've sort of even agreed with this, I think.
My teachers never taught me.
Yeah. But it's a good point. Like, let's say you did add how to, like,
do your
balance.
Taxes.
Yeah.
It'd be incredibly boring. But
a lot of people just wouldn't pay attention. A lot of the people who complain about this are probably the same people who would just totally fuck off and not pay attention anyway.
Yeah, like learning about mortgage interest rates. Like, you really think you're listening? No. But that being said, sometimes you're in class and you can absorb things or kind of remember it even when it matters. Like maybe it's on the exam, so you kind of reinforce the knowledge because you have to. And then maybe it's helpful in the future.
So I think there's some truth to this comment, but I still think there should be more teaching of practical financial literacy.
Because even if you don't pay attention and that's your decision, other people might pay attention.
That's right.
So like this isn't a good enough reason to exclude it.
Yeah, if even a couple people in the class are getting something out of it, who cares if the other people are just there for a grade?
And even if you think you're not paying attention, you might actually subconsciously like kind of remember something at some point.
All right. So bad opinion.
Bad opinion. Wrong. Incorrect opinion.
All right, and last one, Christine.
Uh-oh.
Is this unpopular? I always eat dessert before dinner at a restaurant.
How does the waiters and the chef feel when you
hear.
order that first?
When at a restaurant, waiting staff always find it weird when I order the dessert before the appetizer and the main course. They ask, "Oh, is that all you're having?" And I'm like, "No, I just want my cheesecake first, please."
And then my salad.
I have to convince them that I'm just a dessert first kind of guy. I feel like the main course is much more enjoyable when your dopamine levels are boosted.
Dopamine. Who thinks of dessert as like a dopamine booster?
Someone who has an emotional attachment to food, probably.
So they always want to make sure there's enough room for dessert, so they have dessert first. I mean, like, it's kind of logical if you really want to make sure you eat that entire cheesecake.
I would think, though, that savory foods or normal dinner type foods don't taste great right after having eaten cheesecake or ice cream.
Yeah, but
like,
if you eat a super
sweet
cheesecake, what do you think a salad's going to taste like after that?
Yeah, garbage, right?
So is this just an excuse to not eat the healthy food? Because you load up on like the food first?
Yeah, but if this person was saying, sometimes I'm just going to have a bowl of ice cream for dinner, that I can understand. And, we've all been there. But the idea of having the dessert before subsequent courses, that to me just makes this unhinged.
Because desserts are so rich. How do you follow up a chocolate brownie cheesecake?
I don't know.
Salads cannot compete.
With the Cheesecake Factory avocado egg rolls?
Desserts are also, generally speaking, I mean, it depends on the dessert, but like if we're talking about cheesecake, really filling because they're like dense and calorie heavy, which can make you feel fuller a bit quicker, right? Or just like heavier, like technically from your stomach. And then you're less appetized to eat subsequent food. So that's why I think, although I'm not an expert in like the culinary universe, but that's why I think appetizers are designed to just, make you a little bit hungry. They're kind of light. Salads come first because you're not full. So you can continue to eat into the main course.
They should activate your palate.
Yes.
Like we don't
Or your
often
appetite, not just your palate, but
we don't often go to super fancy restaurants, but I remember we went to one once where like the very first thing they did was come over with like a tiny spoon, say, this is your amuse-bouche.
And I'm like, is that it?
Is that it's to amuse your bouche.
But they're like not that good. You just have to pretend that they're good.
But it's just like kind of like a singular taste. And I feel like at nice restaurants or people who care about culinary or like gastronomy or whatever the word is, like there is a logic to like what kinds of flavors you eat in what order that I don't have an appreciation of, but I think a chef creating like a 5-course meal does care about.
Gordon Ramsay would hate this.
Yeah, and this person is just
destroyed,
putting it on its head.
Garbage. Yeah,
do you order like? We don't eat dessert much at all, but when we're out at a restaurant, I don't like. Usually, I prefer to eat like the really good food they make.
Right.
And desserts, just like sometimes you'll find an incredible dessert that you want to have, but for the most part, dessert's just dessert. And like I could bake cookies at home, or I could get a cheesecake anywhere.
But some people really like dessert because they have a sweet tooth. So they want it first and they want it now. And they said, fuck that salad.
Okay.
But like, I don't care either. Like if someone wants to eat dessert first at a restaurant, I do not give a shit. So like, I don't care. It's just not what I would do. So they're allowed to have this unpopular opinion in my books. I don't care.
And that's kind of a good summary in our attitude in life in general. You can have a wrong opinion, and that's cool for you as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Doesn't directly affect others, then I do not care.
Yeah. This was fun.
Thanks,
do this
y'all.
again sometime. Yeah. We'll see y'all later. Bye. Do you want to
All
end
right,
it?
everyone. I hope you had a happy Taco Tuesday. It is Taco Tuesday, so eat tacos even though they are messy. Mm-hmm. Or don't if you think that's S tier. I don't know.
And if you're listening or watching this on Tuesday, November 16th, Taco Tuesday, Cristine's doing a stream.
Oh, yeah.
At 6 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. Pacific time. Doing some holiday nail art, I think. Or something like that.
Cristine doing nail art?
Some double
Christmas
Taco Tuesday content.
miracle. Yeah, twice in one day. It's a fantastic Taco Tuesday.
Christmas without the H miracle.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
Thanks so much for watching.
See,
We'll see
y'all
y'all later. Bye.
Buttons.